Hey guys, Jaxie here. Welcome back to another video. So this video may be controversial and it may, I'm hoping it sparks conversation. Keep in mind that this video is not meant to hurt anybody's feelings. It is not meant to put anybody down or cause any controversy, but I do think it's an issue that was brought to my attention that is worth discussing. Okay, so I am going to read a comment that was left on one of my videos, and this person, Eric Winchester, he's left a comment similar to this in a prior video, but I'm just going to read this and then we're going to discuss it. Remember, even if you don't agree, we're not going to leave hate for anybody. This is not to say that this goes all the way around, all right? This is just his perspective, and after reading it, I thought it was something interesting to talk about. So the idea is there racial bias between AA and NA? What do I mean by that? Let me read the comment and then we'll discuss. Eric writes, and I did ask his permission. That's why I'm saying his name here. Move over. I'll put the comment here. So Eric writes, I think I've been pretty open about racial bias in recovery communities and how it's negatively affected my recovery. And I'm white as the driven snow. More specifically, I think that members of AA who tend to be white have an implicit bias towards NA because their members tend to be more diverse in color. I think when a white member of AA walks into an NA meeting, they see more people of color and they subconsciously think, man, some of these guys look like bad news. Then there's these ridiculous rumors about dealers hanging out in NA meetings looking for marks, and NA not really being focused on the 12 steps and so on. We never hear about liquor sellers hanging out in AA meetings, right? It's an implicit bias. If you're white and use the white man's drug, alcohol, you're more upstanding, more recovery oriented. I think it's awful, and now that we're in the post-George Floyd era, I think we're ready to have that difficult conversation. I avoided NA for 2 years because I heard these rumors from AA. It actually hindered my recovery because NA was just what I needed. So, I thought that brought up some good points, and look, sometimes we need to have uncomfortable conversations. I'm not saying that I think he's 100% right or 100% wrong. I just thought that this comment was a really good topic to talk about. Look, with everything going on in the world right now and with people starting to understand that they may have a racial bias without even really realizing it or understanding what it means to have a privilege when you may not have realized it. I always joke with people, like, forget about white privilege. I feel like a lot of times I've had female privilege, right? Like this doesn't go for everybody. I'm just talking about my own experience. Most of my life I was, look, I'm older now and a mom, but for most of my life, like I had the big boobs, big hips body, right? I have I smile at people, I'm friendly. And I will tell you that my boobs got me out of a lot of trouble. And even getting pulled over, smiling nice at police officers, I got way, way more let go on things than other people who I knew, and men I knew. Yes, you can go and say that women don't have privilege in other ways, but I'm just saying that we all have certain things that may give us privilege or not, bias or not, right? And they're not comfortable conversations. But until Eric posted this comment, it never occurred to me that is there a racial bias between AA and NA? And he's right. For the most part, most AA meetings that I go to are an older group of people, majority are white. Whereas NA, especially in the NA area I go to, is significantly more diverse. The NA, area that I'm a part of right now is in the city. And so we have a lot more diversity. And I always heard that rumor about, there's drug dealers hanging out at NA meetings. Well, I can tell you, I have been to NA meetings in multiple states, in Washington, D.C., in Delaware, in Maryland, in Virginia, in New Jersey, in Maine. I've never had that experience, ever. So I'm not really sure where that comes from. Maybe somebody somewhere had that experience, but maybe it's not. Maybe it is because of this bias. And so I don't really have any answers for this. This was more something that was brought up that I thought was worth discussing. Is it possible that some of the animosity between AA and NA has to do with racial bias? I mean, we all know there have been many AA meetings that people have gone into saying like, hey, I'm a drug addict, and the AA group doesn't have a problem with that. Where in other times you go in and it's a huge problem. But that could just be language, right? Because I know that in NA meetings, if you use the word sober, people can go at you also, right? So language in programs is important. If I go to an AA meeting, what I say is I say, hi, I'm Jexie and I'm in recovery. I don't identify myself as an alcoholic because I don't feel like that really encapsulates who I am. But I also have respect for the program, and I'm not going to go and call myself an addict in a program that is meant for people who have a problem with alcohol. So I try to be respectful in that way. But it is an interesting perspective. Like, we have a lot of people in my local area recently, before COVID, who started coming to NA meetings who only had problems with alcohol because they felt that NA was a bit more welcoming. They were more, NA hugs. We don't shake hands. We hug, right? Even at the end of the meeting, AA tends to hold hands. NA tends to put arms around each other, right? We're much more physical. We're much more about welcoming people in a loving way. Not to say AA doesn't do it, but the general practices of the program, NA is a little bit more physical with the welcoming as opposed to AA. In practice, obviously every meeting's different. But I do wonder how much of that scaredness of NA has to do with how we view, I know a lot of it's how we view addicts, right? Like a lot of people before becoming addicted viewed addicts as like, a drug addict is that person like with a needle sticking that out of their arm, like sleeping under a bridge. And so a lot of us struggle with finding, not me personally, but a lot of people struggle with identifying themselves as addicts because they don't see themselves as that person. But I wonder if it's more than that too. I wonder if there is a racial, for me, I've never seen it that way, but I also grew up around a lot more diversity. So I didn't grow up with the same type of racial bias that a lot of people do because of where I grew up. Like I tell people all the time, there was 33 different foreign languages spoken by my graduating class in high school. We had a lot of diversity. And so a lot of times, racial bias is because of how you're raised. If you're raised around, just one type of people, you tend to look at others as different, right? Whereas I was raised around all different types of people, right? Like black people, Indian people, Muslim people, gay people, like whatever, from the time I was very little. So we were always taught that like everybody's different but we're all people kind of thing. Like I didn't see race as being anything different than hair color, eye colors, they're all just different characteristics. So I wasn't raised that way, so it was never something that occurred to me. But I would love to hear your guys' experience. Do you think that there is a racial bias between AA and NA? Do you think racial bias makes up any of the reasons why people in AA tend to be very judgmental of NA? Again, not all people. Not all people at all. But a lot of us do have that experience with AA being judgmental towards NA. Is it just because they don't understand, because they're afraid of drug users? Let me know your thoughts. I know I didn't really say much in this video, but I really think that conversations like this, no matter how hard they may be, are really a good thing to have, because the more we can understand perhaps our own biases in the recovery community, the more we can move forward and help people who are struggling. I mean, we can talk about bias all day long when it comes to, medically assisted treatment or, harm reduction as opposed to abstinence, right? But it doesn't go deeper than that. Is there more to it? I don't know. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear it. Follow me on Twitter. I'm going to be posting a lot more of these harder questions because I really want to have these conversations. I think that if we can get to the root of what makes recovery uncomfortable sometimes, that we can really open our minds into helping more and more people. So again, if you want to support my channel, I do have a Patreon below. I don't post a whole lot of extra stuff there. It's really just a way to help my channel. We are so close to 1,000 subscribers, so if you like any of my videos and feel they're worth sharing, please do. It helps me a lot. If you haven't subscribed, if you could do that, it would be amazing. And yeah, please let me know what you think. Hope you guys have a great day. Bye, everyone.